गृह्णन् उन्मिषन् निमिषन्नपि इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेषु वर्तन्त इति धारयन् ब्रह्मण्याधाय कर्माणि सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा करोति यः लिप्यते न स पापेन पद्मपत्रमिवाम्भसा कायेन मनसा बुद्ध्या केवलैरिन्द्रियैरपि योगिनः कर्म कुर्वन्ति सङ्गं त्यक्त्वात्मशुद्धये युक्तः कर्म फलं त्यक्त्वा शान्तिमाप्नोति नैष्ठिकीम् अयुक्तः कामकारेण फले सक्तो निबध्यते सर्वकर्माणि मनसा
Hari Om, everybody. We will do Achyutastakam. Achyutam Keshavam Ramanarayanam Krishna Damodaram Vasudevam Harim Achyutam Keshavam Ramanarayanam Krishna Damodaram Vasudevam Harim Sridharam Madhavam Gopika Vallabham Sridharam Madhavam Gopika Vallabham Janaki Nayakam Ramachandram Bhaje Vishnave Jishnave Shankhine Chakrine Rukmini Ragini Janaki Janaye Vallavi Vallabha Yarchita Yatmane Kamsave Dvamsine Vamshine Te Namaha Krishna Govinda He Ramanarayanam Shripate Vasude Varchita Srinidhe Achyutananda He Madhava Dokshaja द्वारका नायक द्रौपदी रक्षक द्वारका नायक द्रौपदी रक्षक राक्षस क्षोभितः सीतया शोभितो दंडकारण्यभूपुण्यता कारणः लक्ष्मणेनान्वितो वानरैः सेवितः अगस्त्य संपूजितो राघव पातु माम् अच्युतं केशवं रामनारायणम् कृष्णदामोदरम् वासुदेवं हरिम् श्रीधरं माधवं गोपिकावल्लभम् जानकीनायकं रामचन्द्रं भजे जानकीनायकं रामचन्द्रं भजे श्री कृष्णचंद्र भगवान की जय। सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये वागीशाद्याः सुमनसः सर्वार्थानामुपक्रमे यं नत्वा कृतकृत्या स्युः तं नमामि गजाननम् वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय कोटिसूर्यसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। गुरुब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमम् देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। व्यासं वसिष्ठं अष्टनप्तारम् शक्तेः पौत्रमकल्मषम् पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकतातं तपोनिधिम् व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनम् देवकी परमानन्दम् कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिम् द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतम् भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि सद्गुरुं तं नमामि सद्गुरुं तं नमामि समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं यस्य सन्निधिमात्रेण सर्वे शिष्याश्च सेवकाः कर्मक्षेत्रे प्रवर्तन्ते चिन्मयं तं नमाम्यहम् चिन्मयं तं नमाम्यहम् चिन्मयं तं नमाम्यहम्. Let us do Gita Dhyanam. Om Parthaye Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvamanusandadami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshini Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pullara Vindayata Patra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajwalito Gnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraikapanaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gitamrutaduhe Namaha Sarvopanishado Gavaha Dogda Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsasudhir Bhokta Dugdam Gitamrutam Mahat Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Bhishmadrona Tata Jayadrata Jala Gandhara Nilopala Shalyagrahavati Krupena Vahani Karnena Vela Kula Ashwattama Vikarna Ghora Makara Duryodhana Vartini Sotirna Kalu Pandavai Rananadi Kaivartaka Keshavaha Parasharya Vachas Saroja Mamalam गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधना बोधितं लोके षज्जनषट्पदैरहरहः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद् भारत पंकजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसिन श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्र रुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुराः सुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यः मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः. Hari Om everybody. Welcome to the fourth lecture of this 8th series Gita lectures on the essence of Bhagavad Gita. In the first two lectures, we saw that the problems of human beings is ignorance of our true nature. So, the solution given by Bhagavan Krishna was self-knowledge. He showed us that the path of karma yoga, karma brings chitta shuddhi, purity of mind. With purity of mind comes clarity of knowledge. In the last lecture, we went through a lot of karma yoga concepts as to how to divinize our actions. We saw that the doctrine of Nishkama Karma Yoga is a special contribution of Bhagavad Gita to the Indian philosophical thought. The yoga of desireless actions with allied concepts of swadharma and loka sangraha, meaning to do your duties and for the benefit of all. We also looked at how a man of realization lives in this world as a benchmark for our progress in our journey. We also looked at some leadership ideas. Yad yadacharati shreshtaha, not yad upadishati shreshtaha. People follow leaders on what they do and how they do, not what they say. Then we looked at the three gunas, how to be efficient in our actions. We looked at varnashrama dharma, that the classification is based on guna and karma, not janma karma vibhagashaha. We also looked at some important shlokas on the Gnana Marga. Bhagavan gave us the lineage, how this knowledge he gave to Manu, Ikshwaku, just to show that this knowledge is time-tested. The path of knowledge. The Lord's promise that he will always side with dharma and comes down to protect us when there is unrighteousness, is an exclusive feature of Bhagavad Gita, expanding on the ideas of Avatara from Rigveda. We learned a lot about dharma as to how it holds everything together. You know, the value becomes a virtue only when you follow it. Otherwise, it's good for publishing, not for practicing. We saw how to approach a guru for higher knowledge, and that knowledge of the self is the best purifier. We went through all of this in the last 3 lectures. Now, that brings us to the question that Arjuna, or all of us, is still confused and asks, is the path of karma yoga better, or is karma sannyasa better? You know, there are 2 types of seekers who seek this knowledge. One, they only seek this knowledge renouncing everything else. Karma sannyasa. They might go to Himalayas or someplace secluded to pursue this knowledge. Number 2, people who live in this world, living and performing their duties, devoting time to gain this knowledge. That is a karma yoga. Remember, our Arjuna wanted to pack his bags and catch the first flight to Himalayas. He is still thinking with this question that Bhagavan would tell him, yes, Arjuna, you can pack your bags and catch the next flight. But Bhagavan says, both karma yoga and karma sannyasa lead to nishreyasa. Shri Bhagavan sannyasa karma yogascha nishreyasa karabubhau tayostu karma sannyasat karma yogo vishishyate. Nishreya sakaravubhav. Only ignorant think that these 2 paths are different. The path of karma sannyasa is difficult to practice without the aid of karma yoga. And so Bhagavan says, for you and the majority of us, he says, doing selfless action is better than renunciation of worldly action. Jneyasa nitya sannyasi yo na dveshti na kankshati nirdvandvo hi mahabaho sukham bandhat pramuchyate. 5-3. For those who have few worldly desires, with no raga and dvesha, no likes and dislikes, they have achieved detachment, they are fit for external renunciation. Even when worldly desires arise, they will overcome it by devotion, bhakti, and dispassion, vairagya, and discrimination, viveka. They do not strive to fulfill those desires. Yaf pashyati sa pashyati in 5-5. Only a mature person sees what an immature person cannot. A sensitive understands what an insensitive cannot. The mind is rendered pure, subtle, and concentrated either through karma yoga or through karma sannyasa. What it does, it takes us to the inquiry or contemplation on the nature of the self. Therefore, what we need to do is to renounce our ego, ahankara, renounce the sense of doership in that fire of self-knowledge. So the path of karma and jnana are not mutually exclusive. Karma is a sahakari sadhana for gnana marga, purifying selfless actions. What it does, it gives us chitta shuddhi. It prepares us for the path of inquiry, vichara, and discrimination. At present, I am deeply rooted in the notion that I am the doer, I am the enjoyer. Instead of karta, we have to become the karana, the instrument of action. Karma yoga provides that bridge to that tower of knowledge. When you provide this purified body with holes like the flute, then only Murali Gana, a divine song, flows through it. Yoga yukto vishuddhatma vijitatma jitendriyah sarvabhutatma bhutatma kurvannapi na lipyate. We had already seen this shloka in the second lecture. I had given you a 5-point plan. I suggest you go back to the notes, re-listen to this lecture on the temple website. How you can perform the action. Actually, I'll just give you a quick brief on that. Doing the right action, number one. Accepting the results as gift from God. Number two, becoming free from likes and dislikes, raga and dvesha. Controlling your mind by not perpetuating unwanted thoughts. Number four, subduing your senses by removing all value attached, enjoyment of sense objects, etc., and gaining the right understanding by which you see your own self. The first line in this shloka, Yoga Yukto Vishuddhatma, is the preparation. Once such a person realizes that the self of all beings is himself, that oneness, you can be like Padma Patram Iva Ambhasa. You will remain untouched like the lotus leaf. You know, you can remember this by 3 R's. First R is reception. You listen. Active listening. Shravana. Number 2 is retention. Retention of knowledge, you can only retain knowledge with reflection, manana. Number 3, recollection, being firmly established in it through nididhyasana. Those who have that vision of oneness are the wise. Panditaha samadarshinaha. You know, there are some students, they remember everything before the exams, and some will remember everything after the exam, but in between, during the exam, nothing comes through. But that firm establishment in that Brahman through dhyana or meditation is very important. So that brings us to the Karma Yoga. So performance of selfless actions. Karma Sannyasa, renunciation of all actions, prepares the mind for meditation and self-knowledge. Just like when we are going on a long drive, what do we do with the car? We do a multi-point inspection to make sure that the car is roadworthy. Similarly, in aircraft, we check whether it is airworthy and we even certify it. Similarly, we have to check our mind if it is meditation worthy. You know, meditation is not a style, it is a lifestyle. We are not making a fashion statement to say, but we are changing a lifestyle with it. For this reason, Bhagavan Krishna at the beginning of the 6th chapter emphasizes the glory of Karma Yoga through 6th chapter, shlokas 1 through 4. The practice of meditation, it has two aspects. One, we have to withdraw our mind's attention from the external objects. Then you turn that mind towards the subject, pure consciousness. This technique is from Kathopanishad. And he calls this Dhira, who has done this, taken this U-turn in life, as Avritta Chakshuhu. He has turned his attention and refocused his effort onto the subject, and all else will happen automatically. So what is the purpose of meditation? Yogam Atma Vishuddhaye in 6-12, elimination of likes and dislikes, which are the impurities of our mind, and you get that firmness in that knowledge. That brings us to the universal message of Bhagavad Gita. The followers of devotion, Bhakti Yoga or Karma Yoga, they hold different opinions, but they all agree on one thing. That central theme of Bhagavad Gita is Uddharedatmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaiva hyatmano bandhuhu atmaiva ripuratmanah bandhuratmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmana jitah anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmaiva shatruvat. Lift yourself by yourself. Natmana mavasadayet. Do not degrade yourself. Do not look down upon yourself. Atmaiva hyatmano bandhuhu atmaiva ripuratmanah. Your own mind is your best friend. Your own mind is your worst enemy. A similar theme is expressed in Amrita Bindu Upanishad. Manayeva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoho bandhaha vishayasaktam nirvishayam smrutam. How is that possible? One may wonder. How is that my mind is my own best friend and my own worst enemy? Mind is like that key. Swami Vidyaranya Swami gives this example of a key and a padlock. You turn the key, mind is your key. You turn it towards the object, you get locked. Bandhana. You use the key to the other side, it opens, it unlocks. Turn it towards self-knowledge. Then it'll take you, you're on the path to liberation. So, lift yourself by yourself the right way, the best way. Take charge of your own life. The Gita way. A controlled mind is our best friend, and an uncontrolled mind is our worst enemy. That brings us to the topic, what is meditation? Our Puja Guruji, Swami Tejomayananji, has defined this in a text called Dhyana Swarupam. Dhyanam nama swarupasya sahajam bhanamuchyate. Meditation is that effortless abidance in one's own true nature. It is not a special action. It is not a practice of posture. It is not a form of worship, pujanam. It is not a repetition of a mantra, not japa. It is not a concentration exercise. It is to be what you are. Because you have to withdraw your mind, Bhagavan suggests that you go to a solitary place. It can be in your own home, ekaki, in solitude. This is not a group exercise. It is not done with your partner, your spouse. You need to spend time alone, ekanta. No need for any external paraphernalia. No incense sticks, no external aids. Keep it to a minimum, uncluttered, aparigraha, with a good asana, a firm seat. If you cannot sit on the ground, sit on a firm chair. Lord Krishna recommends kusha grass, right? But stiram sukham asanam, a sitting posture in which head, neck, back are all in one straight line. Withdraw your sense organs. You know, both a workaholic and a lazy man, they cannot meditate. An appropriate balance, a happy medium to fulfill one's duties. When you need a calm mind, prashantatma. Once a devotee asked our Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayanandaji, what is the best time for meditation? And you know, he said, when your mind is calm and alert. Yogo bhavati dukkha. For the one who lives a life of moderation, meditation becomes fruitful. Through the repeated practice, abhyasa, the mind is well protected from external objects. 6-19 says, Yatha dipo nivasastah nengate sopama smruta yogino yata chittasya yunjato yogamatmanah. Just like when the flame of the lamp is protected well from that breeze, it becomes steady and takes its upward flight. The same way, our mind moves towards the higher ideal when protected by the whims and fancies of sensual desires, becomes steadily brilliant and is employed in the contemplation of the higher. Our Puja Gurudev always advised for meditators, be alert, be vigilant, and hasten slowly. Yoga means to unite. Sanyoga means union. Viyoga means disassociation. So, dukkha sanyoga viyogam means disassociation from the association with sorrow. That is meditation. That is union with the self. This yogi attains shantim nirvana paramam mat samstam adhigacchati. 6-15. This is not a peace fulfillment of desires, by peace attained by fulfillment of desires, but a cessation of desires. Then he operates in this world with that oneness. Samadarshinaha. Having gained this state, he is not perturbed, even when a mountain of sorrows come his way. Yam labdva chaparam labham manyate nadikam tatah yasmin stito na dukkhena gurunapi vichalyate. 6-22. Then the question comes. Chanchalam himana Krishna. He says in 6-34, the mind is extremely restless. Here Bhagavan is saying this mind can be controlled by constant practice. The mind, Arjuna is saying, extremely restless. Chanchalam, turbulent, pramati, balavat, very strong. Drudham, unyielding, uncontrollable. Bhagavan gives us more tips on meditation. Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha gruhyate. Bhagavan says, yes, Arjuna, this mind can be controlled by practice, by constant practice of dispassion. The Lord also promises in this chapter, as regards to a yogi, if he slips, that means he becomes yoga brashta from the ideal, he will be born again in an ideal family of yogis and strives hard to attain the goal, meaning he will start where he left off, nothing to worry. So here, Lord tells Arjuna, Tasmat yogi bhava. If you recall, I had told you in the first lecture, chapters 1 through 6 is about Tvam Pada Vichara. That is about the individual, that is you and me, Jiva. There are three things in Vedanta. Jiva, that is you and me, the individual. He asks questions, who am I? What is my identity? What is my duty? So the first 6 chapters, we have gone through that. Now, in the next phase, we have to change the channel. The next 6 chapters, chapters 7 through 12, talks about the Lord, the world, Ishvara and Jagat. What is this world? How is it created? What is the nature of God? Who is He? What does He do? Etc. This we use the term Vyashti is individual to Samasti or total. So we enter chapter 7. Jnana Vijnana Yoga. You know, a good teacher always goes what is beyond the book. Here, Bhagavan Krishna now gives us not only what is Jnana, which is information, but Vijnana, insight. Some people say from information to transformation, from knowing God exists to knowing that He and me are essentially one, from asti to asmi, from intellectualization to self-actualization. So at the beginning of 7th chapter, Bhagavan starts us off urging Arjuna to truly listen. Shrunu. You know, this is a great lesson in Bhagavad Gita. People rarely listen, which leads us to a lot of misunderstanding and creates a conflict. You know, psychologists, they earn a livelihood just by listening to other people. In learning self-knowledge, listening to a teacher directly is a very important part of it. Our tradition, our sampradaya. Long distance learning, listening to CDs, listening to e-sessions are all poor substitutes for face-to-face learning because Shravana Matrena Gnanam Bhavati. Active listening for a prepared mind is an important sadhana in our scriptures. Shri Bhagavanuvāca Maya Saktamanah Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashraya Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yathagnasyasi Tachrunu. We should always listen. Listen with an open mind, with an intention to understand and realize. Yata gnasyasi. With a readiness to do whatever it takes to understand. Yogam and Yunjan. With love for knowledge and the teacher. Mayi asakta manaha. And with respect for knowledge and faith in the teacher, madashrayaha. Jnana is knowledge, knowledge of various objects or effects of the world. But vijnana is to know it along with its ultimate cause, its upadhana karana. Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshyam yasheshatah yagnatva neha bhuyonyat natavyam avashishyate. 7-2. You know, there are a lot of people who say, my scientific mind cannot accept anything that I do not see with my senses. They say seeing is believing, proof is in the pudding, etc. They reject such a thing that does not exist if I don't see it. When you understand that reality is beyond the source, that is vijnana. To recognize that reality is not far away from you, it is in your own heart, that direct experience is vijnanam. From knowledge to wisdom, from jnana to vijnana. We say, God is everywhere. But the problem is, we don't see him anywhere. When it comes to scriptural knowledge, only a few pursue it. When it comes to worldly pursuits, secular knowledge, we put in a lot of effort to get an admission into the best university, to get the best job. But when it comes to scriptural knowledge, we say we want to pursue it only after retirement, when we have nothing else to do. That is our last priority. So Bhagavan says, you know why? Because we have infinite goals in life, but we do not have infinity as our only goal in life. So Bhagavan is saying here, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yadati siddhaye. Only a few rare ones, they examine their own life and say, enough is enough. They feel emptiness in the worldly pursuits. So how blessed are we? that we are amongst the rare who are seeking this knowledge. It shows its subtlety, its rarity of this self-knowledge. Bhumirapo nalo vayuhu khammano buddhirevacha ahankarayiti yamme bhinna prakritirashtada. Lord here gives us that the world is made up of two things: matter, apara prakriti, and spirit, which is his para prakriti. The eightfold lower aspect of him, lower prakriti, lower aspect of the total. They are five great elements: the Pancha Mahabhutas, space, Akasha, air, Vayu, fire, Agni, water, earth, Prithvi, mind, Mana, Ahankara. These eightfold Prakriti. At the individual level also, it is the same. Our body also has a fleshy, bony body structure, certainly has a lot of water content in it, occupies certain space, some amount of space. For some, it is less space, some it is more space. Not going to get into that. Space is also there in our stomach. Some have in the head also. Then you have the mind. Mind is sankalpatmakaha, sankalpa vikalpatmakaha manaha. It is always in a state of indecision. Even for the lectures today, I bet your mind will be saying, do I have to attend this lecture, Gita lecture today? It's kind of getting warm outside. I can always listen to the recording on the temple website later. Then the intellect comes in. Nischayatmika buddhi. It makes a decision. I attended the last 3 lectures. I kind of liked it. The analysis was good. So I think I'm going to log in. So all of you logged in, right? Now, that I thought, all that equipment is matter. They are inert. They have no sentiency on their own. That is consciousness. The consciousness provides that sentiency to that inert matter. Some say mind is matter. Some say it is not matter. For a Vedantin, it does not matter. So Bhagavan says, Aham krutsnasya jagataha. I am that upadana karana, the ultimate cause of this creation. Then the Lord says, Mattah parataram nanyate kinchidasti dhananjaya mayi sarvamidam protam sutre manigana iva. Sutre manigana iva. God is within and beyond this creation. He pervades all beings. The objects of created world from within, like a thread holding the beads of pearls together. Very famous shloka in Bhagavad Gita. That unseen thread that holds the beads together. And because of that, there is order in the universe. There is harmony in the universe. There is beauty in the universe. He is, in fact, the best of all beings and things. That Chaitanya is me. Bijam mam sarva bhutanam viddhi partha sanatanam buddhir buddhimatam asmi Tejas Tejasvinamaham. I am that eternal seed of all beings. I am the intelligence behind the intelligent. I am that splendor of the splendid. A similar theme is expressed in Kenopanishad. Shrotrasya shrotram manaso manoyat vacho havacham savupranasya pranaha चक्षुषुश्चक्षुरतिमुच्य धीराः प्रेत्यास्माल्लोकादमृता bhavanti. Kenopanishad has one of the best definitions for God. That which is not seen, but because of which the eyes are able to see. That which cannot be described by words, but because of which our speech is able to describe other things. That which is not heard by the ears, but because of which our ears are able to hear. That is God, that is Brahman. That brings us to the famous quote in the 7th chapter, Natvaham teshu te mai, 7-12. Lord says, I am not in them, they are in me. All thoughts, good, bad, ugly, arise. They exist because of me. I exist without them. Like an ocean can exist without a wave, but the wave cannot exist without the ocean. I am that eternal. I am the independent. This is a great meditative verse, mantra for asangatva, for detachment. Maya is the Lord's creative divine power. His Maya comprises of 3 gunas, sattva, rajas, tamoguna, which incidentally is his apara prakriti, which can delude all of us and is difficult to overcome. Tribir gunamayai bhavaihi ebis sarvamidam jagat mohitam nabhijanati mamebhyah paramavyayam daivi hyesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mame vaye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. Bhagavan says, only those that totally surrender themselves to me will transcend the Maya. In the next 2 verses, Bhagavan Krishna divides the entire humanity into 5 groups. The lowliest of those are those non-believers, he says, who do not accept and pursue the Lord. Namam dushkrutino mudhaha prapadyante naradhamaha mayaya apahrita agnana asuram bhavamashritaha. Then he goes through 4 other types of bhaktas. Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritinarjuna arto jignasurartharthi gnani cha bharatarshabha. 7th chapter, 16th shloka. The first category, Artha. You know, this bhakta is troubled by health, troubled by wealth, or any interpersonal relationships. What does he do? He turns to God for removal of his grief. In Kannada, we say, Sankata Bandaga Venkata Ramana. Since we are doing this at the Venkateshwara temple, he goes into the temple, he says, Govinda, Govinda, Elukundalavada, Govinda, Govinda. When there is trouble. He is an Artha Bhakta. Then he forgets the Lord during good times. How convenient. Most of us fall in this category. Then the second type is Artharthi. This fellow is an extrovert. He is attached to worldly attachments. He wants name, he wants fame, power, position. This guy is a trader. He is a barter trade agreement with Bhagavan. He says he makes Bhagavan a business partner with himself. He says, Lord, I will give you 10% of my profit. But Lord says he is better than the first one, Artha Bhakta, who calls him only during distress. And the third one is Jignasu. He seeks God for God's sake. Jignasu seeks God for God's sake. He is like the person who gets a parcel of goodies and he is counting on his blessing, very grateful every day for the Lord who has blessed him. And he does not want any worldly gains. Then the fourth one is the best, Gnani. Our Gnani, he firmly knows his oneness with the Lord. He worships him unconditionally. He wants nothing. Such a devotee, Bhagavan says, is my favorite. Such a mama priyaha. Because eka bhaktir vishishyate. In fact, in 7-18, Bhagavan says that Gnani Bhakta is Tvatmaiva me matam. That devotee is my own self. That type of Gnani who feels Vasudevaha sarvamiti, mamatma sarvabhutatma is sudurlabhaha, is very difficult to find. That is what he says in the 7th chapter. Remember, this classification that we have gone through is not to judge others, but for our own self-evaluation as to where we are in our journey and how to improve ourselves. You know, when we pray to the Lord, sometimes God says yes, gives us what is good. Sometimes he says no and gives us what is better. And sometimes he says wait and gives us what is best for us, because he knows what is best for us. So let us just pray and wait for the best. So the key takeaway from today's class. We went through whether we need to choose karma yoga, karma sannyasa, how it provides a bridge to knowledge from the 5th chapter. As a sahakari sadhana, when we do karma, And when we lose our doership, kartrutva, and become a karana, instrument of action, nothing but goodness flows through us to the world around us. Then we looked at how we need to have the control of the mind. We went through an overview of the meditation technique. Control of the mind and ample amount of guidance is given in the 6th chapter. Direction as to how to seek the highest through meditation, dhyana. Then we changed the channel and started the Tat Pada Vichara. From Gnana to Vijnana. From information to insight. From intellectualization to self-actualization. We went through an unholy wedlock of matter and spirit, Purusha and Prakriti, the types of bhaktas, the rarity and subtlety of self-knowledge. With that, we will conclude today's session with the concluding prayers. Om Swasti Prajabhya Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Gobrahmanebhyah Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshatu Parjanyah Prithvi Sasya Shalini Desho Yam Kshobarahitah Brahmana Santu Nirbhayaha Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you, everybody. Hari Om.
There's a question in the chat.
Next.